If you know how these run, do you want to just run it?
Can I do that?
What? Like,
Yeah, we can have vice chair.
okay.
Yeah.
Calling the zoning board of appeals agenda, a meeting to order December 16, 2024 at 6:07. On roll call. Nick,
Here.
Dave,
Here.
Nola,
Here.
Craig, absent, Marvin, present. Zoning administrator,
Present.
present. Stephen Kerr. Moving on to the next agenda item, approval of the agenda. You have it in front of you. Take a moment to look at it. If you see any additions or revisions,
Make a motion to approve the agenda. I support.
okay, the motion was moved by Nick and supported by Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain? None. Moving on to the next agenda item, approval of the minutes from July 1, 2024. Please review those minutes. Then the chair will entertain a motion.
Well, I looked over the minutes and I make a motion to approve the minutes last meeting.
Nola Twining has made a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I will support.
Dave Click gave the support to that motion. Any questions? All in support, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Noes, abstain myself because I wasn't present for that meeting. Moving on to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the item of the public hearing, which is CBA 24-20 Alton Road, Brooklyn Wall Signs. You have the staff reports. You also have in front of you the zoning board of appeal application. We have present with us, Mr. Trent Dryer.
Yep, Joe Dyer.
Hi. Welcome. The board, take a moment to look at the application, information that is presented to us.
Hey Dave, I know these guys specifically came to the planning commission a couple of times. Can you give us a little bit of overview of what was happening inside of that?
Yeah, everything, as far as what he was looking for there, went through. The only thing that was the hangup was the change here in the sign, because it is a variance that he would need to seek, he had to come through the zoning board. So, there's 2 signs now that, again, that will be, one facing the west side of the building and then one facing the roadway.
Mr. Dyer, I did roll through your establishment today and I noticed that the windows there, the serving windows, there's not 2, there's 4.
You can only get open one though.
That's right. All right. You guys have done some cool stuff there. I appreciate and building and doing something with it.
It's kind of funny to even not being able to get the signs up, kind of but being ready on the other side of things. It was kind of a blessing in disguise because it was able to for us to kind of get it open a little bit. And it was kind of, you know still, because it really doesn't feel like home to get your signs up, right? So it's kind of one of those, and we've had a few kinks that we did a little differently just to try to, it's budget things and certain things like that to make it more cost effective. And it's really been a good start so far, just being open on, I think it's only just been a week so far, so.
Very good.
Is that the complete sandwich menu and everything?
Yeah, we've done everything. The only thing we've limited down that we've come to is like bulk bagels.
Yep.
It's gonna be tough to do, anything over a dozen. And then catering stuff that try to forward North Muskegon. So we're really kind of trying to focus on the fast and go more so than if you want catering orders, that type of stuff, you're better off at our North Muskegon store where we're more equipped, or basically our other stores. This is kind of a concept that we're looking to be able to kind of move forward with. We can get it done at a relatively good price, and you can kind of get into any kind of corner lot, be able to kind of grow a company is what the goal is.
Busy road, that's a good
It's a
location.
very busy road.
Good
To be
traffic.
honest, I live right there, of course. I live right on the other side of church, right on Rambling Oak, Shady Oak. And I'd always go down there, but I didn't realize when I did the traffic count against my other stores, that's the highest traffic count out of all my stores, and I didn't see that coming really. I assumed Apple was gonna be out front by far, but the
No,
traffic count shows that there's more that go across that street light than there is the one at the corner of, Apple and Quarterline.
well, yeah.
Yeah. Which is crazy to think, right? Because Apple's always been a main.
That's
main
a, yeah, that's a really
for so
good,
long,
I mean, that's
so.
a.
But your side, in the morning times, it can be congestion, believe it or not.
It can be. And if you have to, and that was the key thing, like when we were able to get in there, is getting to that street light. Because like even those parcels that we talked about previously, like between Russ's and McDonald's there, without an easement to get into our section would be very difficult. Because if you guys have ever lived over there, if you want to get out and go right, it's almost impossible.
Right.
You have to kind of go with the traffic. It's tough.
Nice to have a light there though.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
That helps a
And that
lot.
was the key. Yeah, I wouldn't do it without a light there, I don't think, just because
Right.
I don't think it would deter a lot of people away. Especially on
It's
that
going
side.
to increase as they create new residents in that area, which they plan to.
Mhm.
It's going to increase.
And that's good.
But
And
that's
a lot
right,
of
yeah.
our clientele, we try to represent a nice clientele. We in a lot of our other restaurants, we have a good clientele that we, bring to the community and like to think we support. So it should be a good thing, I hope, for everybody.
Well, great. We're happy that you're here. We're happy that you bring your business to our community. At the same time, we'd like you to relax and kind of tell us about your plans with your business as it relates to your application.
Okay.
Keep in mind, at the time when this was submitted to us, you had not submitted within your application the rationale to meet the 4 requirements. So we'd like you to speak to those particular
Sure.
requirements. That'll help us in our deliberation.
Yeah, most definitely. So when I came in recently, just to go back on some of the last planning commission, just to kind of give you guys a reference. When I was in for planning commission, I was here and I didn't get this to Steve in time, that's my apologies. But basically, what we're looking to do is we were approved for the front, but we were basically to be able to meet the square footage and get the second signs, which we're here for here today, is to be able to fill this other spot. So we've already gotten the approval to get the roof line moved or up or whatever in the last planning commission. So then basically what this is about is to be able to fill that space so that it looks even, it looks, so it's gonna be matching and uniform, which also keeps in uniform with, if you've ever seen my Apple location by chance, our Apple location has those 2 on the building, which is basically the same concept as what we're doing here. It's the same exact, everything pretty much what's on Apple is what we're trying to put here. And the reason we did it, is basically that it faces 2 streets, and the way the ordinance is written, it's kind of, you can have 1 sign per street. But if it's 2 businesses, you can't, the way from my understanding, you only get 1, but you could get an extra pylon, not necessarily a wall sign. So I'm not necessarily looking for any more square footage from my understanding. I'm just looking for, instead of that pylon sign, to be able to put it on the wall there, just to make it uniform so it doesn't look awkward to be on those type of square footage. As well as, because it is a multi-tenant building, it changes things, it changes the variance a little bit. Just because, with it being 2 under, it reduces the size, I think, of square footage technically. So that was part of what I was looking at on, as far as how it was going. See here, also the position of the building, if you look at that building, it's kind of the way it sits on that property, it's kind of kitty corner as it faces to what you'd consider probably the main portion of the front. So the way we put it on, it faces, that corner, so the goal is to kind of traffic in some more from the west side, which would be the highway side, to kind of bring them in, to draw in that extra traffic is kind of like what we're chasing on doing it there. And in doing it there, like I said, it shouldn't affect any of the surrounding properties. Like I said, I spoke with the Fonslers and they were fine with it as far as how it's gonna be or how it's gonna look. It's not gonna look off or anything like that, it's gonna look uniform.
Will there be illumination on that at all?
There will be illumination, yes, yep, and it'll be the same as on both sides, that's how it is.
Were you able to get any written agreement from the tenants from the property next to it?
The building that shares with me, or the realtor that's with me, or like Northside Pub?
No.
Or
Family Farm and Home?
Family farm.
I didn't get anything written, they're frequent, they come into my restaurant all the time, so I had breakfast with them, talked to them, they showed no concern. If they're around, I'm sure getting approval would be no problem.
Many times when applications come in, we can get those type of written supports.
Okay,
That helps us know that we can take your word.
sure, of course.
We always like to have someone do
Most
that
definitely.
verification.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Basically, I'm just kind of looking to keep it uniform as my other stores, just to reinforce the brand. The goal would be to kind of, just like when you go to McDonald's or a Starbucks or a Burger King, you see that same image, you kind of think the same thing. We're not a big national chain like that, but we've been fortunate enough, this is our 5th location, so we are starting to try to build a uniform look across the board so that you kind of get the same thing. It's the same, menu across the board and everything. And that's our goal too, is to just keep a uniform look as well. So that's basically the main reason I'm seeking the variance or the approval of the variance would be to get a bigger one, just to be able to keep it uniform with the other locations too.
Anyone else on the committee want to hear anything else?
Do you know if there's any other businesses that have signs ever? Then
This, I
Mhm.
got offhand I don't, but I gotta imagine that McDonald's sign's pretty big out there.
I would think so too.
Even to be honest, the oil change place right next to me is kind of huge sign when you think about it. I mean, they're pylon sign. I guess, and it changes, the way the ordinances are written between wall signs and pylon signs are a little different. Like I said, the way that building sits, 2 pylon signs would look funny.
How many feet off the road do you know? M120?
Is the building? Offhand, I don't. I'm not sure how it is off the road.
We'll call it more than
Oh,
some of the others.
Yeah, and it's much more off from the road than what a variance for pylon sign would fit. Because you could easily fit the variance size or from the road of Old Orchard in and be able to get a pylon sign in there if need be. So we would be behind that restriction, yes, to keep, true to the original ordinance.
I don't think I have any further questions for Trent.
Okay, I have a question. You want to use 2 signs
Yes.
on the same fixture and elevation. And it's a multi-purpose building.
Right.
What happens if another tenant comes in and says, I want that space?
We take signs with us. If that's part of that's always an option, I suppose. Usually, most tenants aren't gonna want my signage anyways if they're gonna take it, so we're gonna take it with us. So it'll free up that space.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the space itself. Because according to the ordinances, is 1 sign per building. Is that correct?
Unless there's more than one
Unless
tenant.
there's. and then
Yes,
there's
it's more than 1 tenant.
Right.
So we have 2 tenants, and I'm just wondering about down the road, another tenant comes in and says, well, I want some space. Do they give the space?
Is there space for another tenant to be right where Brooklyn Bagels is?
I guess maybe someday. But I guess I don't see it happening anytime soon necessarily of anybody trying to, because with the realtor in there, she has her sign up. And she only has basically a pylon sign is what she wanted. And
So that's all Maryland wanted was a pylon sign and then
Yeah.
the small one that's by the main doors when you go in.
And they have the lion's share of that sign.
Yes.
You have just the
Yes, I have
bottom
just
portion of that.
Yep, I have just a small, I didn't even think about bringing that part of it, but yes, I have the smallest section of that part. I believe it is a 6x6, 4x6 maybe?
Yeah.
Sign, and we would have, again, I could get the numbers, but I don't have it offhand, but it's gotta be 2 foot by 4 foot maybe, would be our section on that.
And I know when I drove over there today, it's like when I looked up at the building, how it was, for me, it made perfect sense because the drive-through is right there.
Mhm.
And where you want to put the signs in is right above the drive-through.
Right, and
So
eventually,
it simplifies
yeah,
for people to say, oh, it's not back in that corner, it's
right.
right there.
And that's the goal with it, going through planning commission as well, is to try to keep the traffic and everything right there on that side of the building, to not interfere with the other business. And right now, it's tough, because that old road is pretty rough, you know, so
It is.
in the buildings, people are curious, so they wanna kind of make the full thing. But as you notice, eventually, as we get going too, I'll have the entrance exit signs more
Okay.
readily available as we get more in there. And then that way they'll be able to go down just before the north side pub entrance and be able to go in that section there as well. And then we'll just keep it right on that side of the building. So that way it does, it keeps that sign, so you're seeing it as you come in, kind of on the corner, and then you're driving past it. So that's kind of the brand confirmation that we're trying to push and that type of stuff.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Bright?
No.
Not here.
No problem.
Not here.
I just have a point of clarification regarding the future of those signs.
Mhm.
If Brooklyn Bagels were to move out
Right,
and a new tenant were to take that tenant space,
right.
then that tenant would be entitled to the same signage.
Mhm.
Because it's, due
Makes
to,
sense.
As president says.
yes, due to the uniqueness of the property.
Right,
Okay,
So they would be subject to that same variance.
okay.
So we're changing the rule for that building, not for.
Correct. It's for
Yes.
it stays with the property, not the business.
and for me, it's like to allow people to spot the sign and to see it. Like if it's just this little 32 incher, you're not really gonna spot it that well, you know, and it makes sense to me personally.
When the building was originally made for a bank, it wasn't necessarily for the big public to
Right.
come see as a show front. It was kind of that personal, is what they were kind of going for. And even prior to, moving moving some trees, trying to open up the frontage to get some more traffic to look that way. It is a building that was originally tucked away for a reason originally, but we're
Right.
kind of trying to bring it back out to the spotlight. Sure, get some use out of it. It's been vacant for a while and it's been kind of on going off, so it's a good community right out there. And it's been growing quite a bit, so I think it would be good for the community as well.
So Stephen, thank you very much for that clarification. Is there anything else that anyone would have for Mr. Dyer? Or we talk amongst ourselves? Thank you very much.
Sure.
What we're gonna do now is talk amongst ourselves, as
You go
we.
back? Oh, perfect.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, we do need to open a public hearing.
Oh, yeah. That's very important. Thank you very much. At this particular moment, in the agenda, we're gonna open up for public hearing on this particular topic.
So that means anybody have any other comments?
Comments? Yes. Other than what we hear for this reason also. At this particular point, there isn't anyone coming forward to make any particular public comment this evening, so we move on to the deliberation by the zoning board on this very item that's before us. So I open it up and like to hear your points of view. Remember, we have to satisfy the various standards.
As Fred was sharing a little bit, I kind of went through all four of them, and I look at number one, the unnecessary hardship. I think about the restaurants that are in that area. So you've got Burger King, Taco Bell, McDonald's, Russ's. And the signage that they're able to put out there is a draw. Somebody pulls off the highway, they can look down and they can see that all those restaurants are there. And without the size and the location of these signs, I don't know if Trent will have a fair shot at obtaining the same customers that other businesses are that are similar in their function, I guess. So that was the one thing I thought about. It's an unnecessary hardship. If we uphold this, the guy's trying to run a business and he can't run a business because he can't draw
Oh,
customers.
your competition.
That's a great.
Like the way the building sits also to the property, to the roadway, it sits not square to the roadway, it sits at the angle. So I think that an angle also puts a, you need to be able to advertise your business. And
Yeah.
that would make sense. That'd be something that might be able to fall under that as a hardship.
Yeah, which I also think, Dave, that one goes into number two, which is the special conditions and circumstances of the way that building was set there originally in the design, so.
So there's two conditions that are favorable in with this application. Let's move on to the third one. Interpretation of the provision of the ordinance to provide, does this provide the applicant property rights that are commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same zoning district?
I think you get that on the first one then, saying that there's the other,
Multiple businesses.
the same, similar business, if not identical, that have ability to have better signage or what have you. So, to me, I think that does beat that. I don't think with
And the fourth one, with the authorizing of such variances will not be a substantial determinant to other lands in usage and will not be contrary to the spirit and the purpose of the ordinance.
As far back, outside of Northside Pub, that is the furthest back business if you were to look from the west side going east. So it's not like these giant bees are gonna get in the way of being able to see the
Right.
Performance Plus Loop sign or something else. So
it doesn't harm any vision, it doesn't cut down on the vision of other businesses. It's specifically on the building where his business is.
Correct, and that was supported by staff by saying that the sign, if the tenants move, as a result, the signage will move.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. It appears that all the requirements that we have reviewed have met the standard for what we're looking for a variance. Are the other any other comments from? If not, the chair will entertain now some type of motion, if that is the will of the committee, move forward with this proposal.
And thank you, Steve, for adding this in. So I make a motion to approve variances from section 15.9 for size, number and placement of wall signs to allow Brooklands to have 2 wall signs, each with an area of 48.2 square feet. 1 wall sign shall be placed on the south elevation of the canopy and 1 shall be placed on the west elevation of the canopy as shown on the plans submitted by the applicant.
I will
There's been
support.
been moved by Noah Twining, this particular motion.
I will support.
Dave Glick is supporting the motion that section 15.9 of size, number, and placement of wall sign to allow Brooklyn to have 2 wall signs, each within the area of 48.2 square feet. 1 wall sign will be placed on the south elevation of the canopy, and 1 shall be placed on the west elevation of the canopy, as shown in the documents that are presented before us. Now we're ready for the vote. Chair will entertain the vote. All in favor, we do it individually.
Yeah.
Nola,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes?
Nick,
Abstaining.
abstaining. Marvin, yes. Craig, abstain. You've heard the roll, you've heard the vote. This motion is passed and accepted. Congratulations.
I knew there was somebody that was caring back here. That's good.
Are there any other business other than this, on this particular item? Let's move on to communications. Are there any communications that we should be aware of or that staff would like to share with us?
I do just have a note that the ordinance was changed in regards to the roof pitch, so that that request has been withdrawn.
Very good.
Oh, that was for the last one, the mobile home?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Thank you very much for the information, Steve. Any old business to be conducted at this particular time? How about new business? Any public comments? Any remarks from the board? If not, I'm looking for a motion for adjournment.
motion to adjourn.
You move?
I just did it.
Okay. Yes, support. This meeting is over at 6:33. Thank you very much.
Next week says it trustees meeting, it's the board, the monthly board, I'm like, I'm the only one that 4 years, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Guys, I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You got your sign, now you just gotta get them up there, right?
I gotta get it all. Yeah.